Hey guys, hope you and your families are all safe and healthy. Over the last couple of weeks, Kings fans have been watching 2012 and 2014 Stanley Cup final games. We're going to talk about the New York Rangers in 2014 with my fellow teammates, former teammates, Jonathan Quick and Matt Greene. Thanks, boys, for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, yep.
So I guess we'll start right at the is he coming in?
Yeah!
I don't see him.
Turn the audio on.
Yes. There he is. We're joined by 2014 Conn Smythe winner, Justin Williams. Can you hear us, Justin?
Yeah, I hear you. What's up, Stoll? What are you laughing at, Greene?
You. That's it.
Hey.
How we doing? How are we playing, Stick?
Not great. Actually, not great.
Not great.
No, not great. Not great. So what are we talking about, fellas?
We're talking about the Rangers series, bud. Finals. We're just getting going here. Talking about right before the series, game one. Obviously, you probably want to talk about game one, don't you?
Well, I want to talk about game one because you went right to the net hard, though. You know.
Hard. Pushed back
Yeah.
Lundqvist. You just came and tapped it in.
No, I mean, definitely. I mean, that series, right? I mean, I think within the room, we felt we were better. And I think that was just sensed within the room. And we just had to instill it upon everyone else. And just, I don't know, we obviously came out slow, certainly within the first game, the second game. And we just kind of just slowly took it over from there.
Yeah, I think, well, after Game 7 in Chicago, that was such an epic series. Greener, how are you feeling going into that Ranger series? Were you a little tired? Or I know I was tired after the Anaheim series when we had to go to Chicago. We had like a day and a half off. But
A little tired, but I think coming off that high of the Chicago series, though, I mean, and all three series, you kind of really didn't make it easy on ourselves. So when we dropped down by a couple of goals against New York, I think the confidence was high the whole time. And I remember Stick jumping on that turnover and thinking, oh, here's a win in OT. And it was, I think it was just confidence, in Quickie and everybody else throughout the lineup. And it's a matter of time till we could do it.
Stick, we know you got a muffin. I just couldn't believe how hard you shot that puck.
No, I mean, it was just, I don't know. Usually in those instances, you feel the moment, and when the puck came to me and I had an open shot, it was just kind of just get it off as quick as I could, get it as accurate as I could, and just really just see what happened. It was just, I don't know, it was just an in the moment type thing, and just, the shot went sometimes where you want it, and that was exactly where I wanted it, and it went in, and when I honestly scored the goal, it was just, I turned around, I was like, is it over? Because I'd never scored an overtime goal before, and I looked around, everyone started piling off the bench, and everyone started coming towards me. I was like, I had a few seconds to myself. I was like, what do I do here? And I mean, such an unbelievable feeling, and one I'll remember forever, and one that obviously had a big influence on the series.
Well, with 3 overtime games, Quickie, what can you tell the fans about just staying in the moment? Overtime games are so hard. One little mistake by you, basically, and the game's over. What can you just focusing through that overtime? How do you mentally get through that?
I don't think overtimes are much different than like playing a playoff in general. And like you thinking back about all the playoff games and every shift, how much it means to the team, and you don't want to make any mistakes, and you want to do everything the right way, especially the way that we would play the games. It was so it's just, you go in overtime and you're not really changing anything. You're just taking it one shift at a time. For me, like one save at a time. And, I know you guys, the way we won a lot of those games during the playoffs, they were tight games. They were 1-goal games. So, like, we're going out there either a tie game, down 1 or up 1. and you don't really want to make mistakes. So I think going into an overtime, you're not really changing much. Your mindset's not really changing. You're just trying to do the right things the next shift to give us a chance the following shift.
I think I know what you're going to say on this one, but you never ever gave up that third goal if we're down 2-0. I know in Game 7 in Chicago, we were down by 2 twice. And then Game 1 and 2 of the Rangers series, we're down 2-0 games 1 and 2. So
yeah.
You're probably not thinking any differently mentally about just you can't give up that third goal.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, especially that playoffs, that whole playoff season, the amount of ups and downs and everything that we'd gone through, being down 3-0 against San Jose, losing 3 in a row to Anaheim, and same thing with like Chicago. We were up 3-1, and we let them get back into that series. But we'd been through so much, and we found ways to get out of holes and to change momentums when the momentum was heavily in the other team's favor. You just kind of have that confidence in the group that, even if we are down a couple, we're still in it. You just don't want to put yourself in too big of a hole. Obviously there's a big difference being down 3 goals and being down 2 goals. So, for me, I just always knew that even if we were down a goal or 2, we were still in it. We still had a chance. We'd proven that we could fight our way back into games and fight our way back into series if we were down a little bit.
Willie, I'll give you one before you get off to the next tee here. But talk about Daryl for a second real quick. Just, he was always in the room. He hated being in the coach's office. He was always in the room with us, kind of getting a pulse on our team. What can you talk about Daryl that kind of helped all of us play the way we did and battle back the way we did?
Well, I think it's important that coaches, they're able to get the best out of their players, and some players need different things, right? Some players need a little bit of jam in them. Some players need a little coddling. But Daryl, I feel he seemed to have whatever it took with the individual player to get what he needed out of them. And obviously, I feel before Daryl came in, we were a little, comfortable, and he made us a little uncomfortable. And I think that was important. And we were able to get to the next level with him. And he certainly let us get there and see what we were made of, right? I mean, that's what you want out of a coach, that you want him to challenge you. And that's certainly important. He was able to do that for us, get us to that next level that we knew we had, but not quite knew that was there.
Well put. Greener, I know you've been watching you watched the parade the other day with Bruce, your son, and he wasn't born to see these cup runs, but Justin Williams' son was, and Carter Quick, he's probably watching some of this too with you, Jonathan. But Greener, what was it like to watch that with Bruce?
It's cool. You forget, it's as crazy as it is. You forget a lot of the, you think you remember everything, and all of a sudden you start watching the game, and there's so many plays that are just, out of your head after that. And it was really interesting to watch us play, because I think, like he's saying, where, you get down by 2, just stay with it, because our game was so simple, with the exception of, probably Drew on the back end, and then you got Stick up front, Gabby up front. But other than that, it was just rolling along, and we're just gonna wear you down. We're gonna beat you down. We're gonna eventually get our goals, and we'll come back and we'll take care of it. And I think you see that more and more, and then being able to kind of point out to Bruce, these are all Daddy's friends and stuff like that. It's been cool, and it's been fun to watch.
Quickie, you been watching with your kids at all?
Yeah, here and there. They'll lose interest a little bit here and there, because they they'll kind of tease me a little, say, oh, it was 6-7 years ago or something like that. Ask me when I'm playing it again. So a little motivation there from the kids, but they certainly do watch it here and there when it's on, and it is fun to kind of relive, and you get text messages from teammates saying that it's on, and then you get some back and forth banter with the guys and talk about things that had happened, and it just kind of relive it a little bit.
Willie.
Yeah.
Can you explain Quickie's Game 3 performance at MSG?
I don't think you can really explain that. I think obviously Quickie was looking forward to that. He could probably tell you better, but I don't know. You just get into the hometown, the team you've been cheering for your whole life, the I'm going to show you what I'm all about type attitude. And he was just, I don't know, he was just to the next level, right? And I think sometimes when you're playing, you look at the goalie and you're like, wow, nothing's getting past him tonight. And that was the attitude. It was like, well, that's a decent opportunity, but it ain't getting by Quickie tonight. And that was kind of what it was the whole night. Like, this guy's got this. As long as we don't screw up too bad, he's going to take us here to the next win. And that's kind of what it was all about there.
I just remember a couple paddle save on Zuccarello, Quickie. I'm sure you remember that one. But is it warm up? Do you feel in warm up right away? I know sometimes I don't feel very good in warm up when I play good. But when did you feel at that game?
Yeah, I mean, you really never know until you get out there. It's like you just said, like there's warm up. Sometimes you feel amazing. You go out there and you're not at all. And then sometimes you feel terrible in warm-ups and you go out there and you have a pretty good game. But I do know for me it was a team I grew up watching and cheering for. And the thing is, that was the first time I'd ever played at MSG. I'd never played Rangers at MSG in my career up until that point. It's just whenever we were out there, it would always be a back-to-back situation with them and the Islanders or them in Jersey. And for whatever reason, I never got that game when we were playing in the Garden. So that Game 3, that was the first time I ever played in that building. So I was really excited to play in it. Just being able to play in the Garden, never mind it being in a Stanley Cup Finals game. So, I was excited to play. And obviously playing with you guys, it does make my job a little bit easier there. So it was, it's just a good recipe for the team to get a win.
Greener, what was our 2012 and 2014? What were the differences in our teams? I don't think there was much. I think we had deep teams. We get in Carts the one year. We get Gabby the one year to help us offensively. But is there anything in your words that you can between the differences?
Maybe just the knowledge that you were there before and the experience. I think there was that calm confidence of everybody. When we were down in series, not a lot had to be said, and I think that was something that I think we just built on from 12, and then having playing 3 rounds in 13 against Chicago, and that experience is already there. So it wasn't. The thing I always kind of come back to is against New York, where we'd be down and people would kind of come in the room afterwards and say, what Darryl say to you? He never came in. He just let us be alone, let us take care of ourselves, and chip away and trust the process. And I think that all stems from experience that was built in 12 and 13 and prepared you for 14.
Nice. Quickie, what are some of your most memorable games? Obviously, Game 3, Game 5 at home, the double overtime game. I remember Rick Nash had a chance off to the side, and one of our defensemen blocked it. I'm not sure who it was, but they had a bunch of moments there where they were so close to scoring, and you came up with big saves after big saves. What are some of your best games as a King?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to remember there. Obviously the memorable games are the ones where you win and it's either you move on to the next series or you win a series, whatever it happened to be. But yeah, I think every time we played Chicago, they were the team you always had to beat. Those games were so fun playing at United Center. That was such a fun atmosphere. And even when they came to Staples Center too. I think the rivalry between us and San Jose, it's kind of grown over the past decade. And, I felt like every other year we were playing them in the playoffs, and it was always a tough series. So those games were a lot of fun. The Anaheim series, same thing. It was, we're 20 miles away from them, and we'd never played them in the playoffs. And it was the first time in both of our franchise history that we played each other. A lot of us know the players in Anaheim and vice versa just from skating in the summertime. So that was a really fun series. It's tough to pick out individual games. It's just you're thinking back to all those series in general and just playing in those games and figuring in what's on the line and how important the games are. I think they're just so fun to play.
Willie, well, how did you play your best when the games were, game 7s, game 6s? You always seem to play your best in those games.
I think that question's kind of been asked, I don't know, to me quite a bit, but obviously the first answer is I've just been part of a lot of great teams. And then, that team, whenever you go into a game and you feel so confident about your team that, you know what, if we play our game, we're going to win. It's such an advantage. And I felt we had that throughout the whole playoffs. And I've always told people, they've asked me this question, how do you get into that, zone, I guess, but you just can't be afraid to make a mistake. You can't be out there being like, oh, I don't want to make the mistake that screws up and loses the game. You want to be the guy that, all right, I'm going to go out and win this thing. I'm going to make a chance. I'm going to just try it. And I think that's the best attitude that I've had throughout the thing. Like, if I mess up, all right, I messed up, but trust in yourself, trust in your instincts, and go out there and give it a go. And fortunately, I've been on a part of some great teams. Obviously, the team in 2012 and 2014 were just unbelievable memories that you'll never forget. But even beyond that, just go out and trust yourself and believe in yourself and give it a go. Make a chance and see what you can do out there. And that's the best advice I've ever gotten.
Greener, one for you. Other than the 2012 and 14 Cups, memories, experiences as a King, other than those two?
It's hard. I think 13 was great too. It's those runs were until we bumped into Chicago there, that buzzsaw. I mean, those are just like Stick was saying, you're in that window there. It's you knew you were going to have a hard game every night, but at the same time, you had a really good chance of pulling it out. And I think that's by far and away my favorite years of hockey. Knowing that, and it took everybody to. That was the best. The teammates from that team were unbelievable. The stories, the laughs, everybody going through it together. Nobody thought they should be playing somewhere else. Nobody complained. Nobody really, it was good teammates, good guys, a lot of fun off the ice, tons of fun on. And it's amazing how much fun winning is. And especially when you get the right group of guys that everybody shares credit and nobody was bigger than the group. It was awesome. Those are my favorite times as a King.
Obviously we lost game 4 in New York, but Quickie, what are you thinking before game 5? I know we definitely do not want to go back to New York for game 6. What was your mindset going into game 5?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it changed much from every other game that we played up in that run. We played 3 game 7s going into that series, so we've obviously lost our fair share of games going into that. So it's not like a feeling that we haven't experienced, losing one and then coming back and having to try to get back up and, get the momentum back on our side. But I think being that close to winning the Stanley Cup, your senses are a little heightened and your emotions kind of go up and down a little more. But as soon as they drop the puck and you start the game, you're just kind of back into it and you're just going play to play and you're just trying to, I forget who said it earlier, but you would just kind of chip away one shift at a time. That was the way we played. So for me, you're just trying to make a save and get to the next shift. And, obviously if we are down, keep it close. If we are up, we're just trying to keep the lead. So, you just go in with that mindset. You don't try to change anything. And because of the success we've had up to that point.
Willie, is there anything you, little detail wise, if there anything you remember about Marty's goal?
About which goal?
Marty's goal in Game 5. Alec Martinez.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. Just not too much, right? I don't know. I
Just get off the bench as quick as possible.
I just felt the confidence in it, and I mean, right? Who doesn't want to, like, you get into that instance, you're like, all right, the next goal wins the Stanley Cup for us. I mean, that's the stuff you dream of in the driveway, right? I mean, and I mean, maybe it could be me, maybe it could be you, maybe it could be Greener. Certainly probably couldn't be Quickie, but I was just sure that it was going to be one of us. And Marty got it, and it's just extreme jubilation. And we felt that 2 years ago, and we just felt it again.
Greener, I know you broke up the play initially and you were on the ice. What take us through the play going up the ice?
I was that was my sweet spot, like right around like the 4 minutes of the middle of the period is where I get to play, give Drew and Slava a break. So that was nice. That's where I really do a lot of good work in OT, like the 12 minutes to the 8-minute mark. And but no, just get on, break something up, and just try to get a stick on something. And then you saw Marty take off, and I was actually going to the bench for a change, and you see the far pad shot there. I'm sure Jamie Compound was watching down and loving every minute of that one. And Marty tucked it in. So it was and then just going nuts. I mean, it's an indescribable feeling, and you try to tell people what it's like, and you can't. I mean, you get to celebrate your childhood dream with 40 people that you eat, sleep, and breathe with, for that long. Is until you do it, it's you really can't explain it.
I remember in the dressing room, there's just two different feelings, totally different feelings in the dressing room after 12 and after 14. After 12, there's quite a few people in the room, and after 14, remember we just said trainers, coaches, players, that's it. So that was, I just remember that feeling. Willie, do you remember that feeling in the room? We were exhausted. It was two totally different playoff runs, but I remember just sitting there with you, Greener, and just being like, man, we did this again. And it was just kind of silence in the room. It wasn't very loud. It wasn't much celebrating going on, but take us into that, Willie.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is you realize, obviously, you win it for the people that are cheering for you, that your family, your friends who have cheered you on your whole life. But at the end of the day, I mean, you've been to the battle with the fellas for like 9 months, just grinding it out every day, in and out, ups and downs. And when you finally reach the pinnacle, obviously, which we accomplished 2 years before that, just reaching the pinnacle is just like a sense of relief. Just let's enjoy this with all the guys in the room. And I thought that was a great move by all of us, just being like, all right, get the noise out of here. Let's just celebrate. Let's enjoy like an hour that we have, just us. Enjoy with the Stanley Cup in the room. We've earned it. We've celebrated it. Let's take it in the shower. Let's do whatever the heck we have to do with it. And I think all of us have perhaps a picture or a video of us having that Stanley Cup in the shower that day. And those are the things that you remember. Those are the things you celebrate. And those are the things that to this day just give me chills.